This video and this city is not for the fragile. Brace for post-war apocalyptic looking streets.
Different doors that we collected.
Meeting my Shiro in person, and somehow a detour into a sexy time store that I am not even allowed to show you on this channel. All in one video. Buckle up, kids. This is my favorite city in America. This is Detroit. So here's what you've seen, right? With a reputation as the worst and the most dangerous city in the US, for so many years, the designation has frankly gotten stale. You've heard. Oh, you've heard. But Detroit's natives really don't give a damn what you've heard. And that's what I love so damn much about this city. The gritty people who call Motor City home. Downtown Detroit looks like any other city in America. Full of millennials with curly mustaches. It's these condo dwellers that have plowed into historic neighborhoods, once considered too dangerous to walk through. This is the shit that actually pisses me off. When I was here last time, okay, this house was made very famous by some HGV, whatever, renovation show. Beautiful woman, she renovates houses in Detroit, okay? It is stunning, it's a masterpiece, okay? Now, look at this now. Really? So the good news is, the downtown area is now pretty vanilla and pretty safe. The bad news is, it's largely being replaced with ugly plastic buildings and slow-moving, grungy groups of people who may be homeless or may be hipsters. Honestly, it's usually hard to tell the difference. My entire arrival is largely planned around a reunion tour in my old seat at the back of an old school bus owned by Jesse Welter of Motor City Photography. For years, Jesse has been guiding journalists, groups, and movie location scouts into places that, let's be honest, none of us have the balls to go into alone. Jeez.
Just found this the other day. It's on mine. It's a G5 here. It's like a display case.
Display case. This is my favorite thing to do in Detroit. I know most people look at these war-zone-esque streets and see architectural carcasses, but I still think Detroit's buildings, burnt out or not, are some of the most stunning in the country. Remember, Motor City was once incredibly wealthy. It's always a blessed idea to start the day with the Lord, so let's stop first at St. Mary's Church and Catholic School. All of these buildings in Detroit are quickly gutted by scrappers and then left to decay. Unlike other cities where I'd likely run into a vagrant or resident dope dealer inside, there are simply so many deserted structures that once the copper is gone, even criminals have no use for them. Practically all the homeless have set up camp downtown where tourists and suburbanites dip in and out. There's no money to be made in here. In one of the Chrysler factories, Jesse finds pink slips in the basement. The very industry that made Motor City was shuttered worker by worker, all with thin pieces of paper. Today, a lot of investors have announced alleged plans for these buildings that are extremely lofty and largely yet to be seen. Currently, the running plan is to rip the ruins down. Most all of my favorites that were here just a few years ago have evaporated. The city's aggressive teardown operation is to keep squatters and crime out of blown-out buildings. The collateral damage, of course, is erasing Detroit's iconic structures and period architecture that can never be rebuilt again. Honestly, if you're curious about seeing Detroit at all, you better do it fast. The wrecking ball moves quickly here. My argument is, you'll pay $5,000 to go fly across the country or across the world to go see ruins abroad. Well, frankly, we have plenty of ruins here in the US. They're just modern ruins. And to me, they're still beautiful. Don't come to Detroit expecting Disney World, but use your imagination. I mean, these were huge companies. These are beautiful homes, mansions, estates, and you just gotta get a little creative and appreciate them for what they were and what they are. And what they will be is torn down. Knowing that, when Tom, our tour bus driver, suggested that I didn't have the lady balls to climb all the way to the tippy top of the factory, I told Tom to hold my Coke Zero. Don't worry, kids. I'm a professional and also kind of an idiot. Driving around Detroit, you'll see plenty of green space. These are neighborhood graveyards. On these lots once stood homes, now ripped out. The only evidence of their existence is the driveway entrance at the curb. The city is the largest landowner, but Jesse says that's starting to change. 3 years since my last visit, the vacant lots are now mowed. There are greenhouses in rough neighborhoods and tree farms throughout Detroit. If you can't plant people in these urban areas, doesn't mean you can't plant crops. So you've got all this abandoned land. They're bringing farms. They're bringing greenhouses and community farms. And Detroit in the future may have legitimate agriculture sections in what is an inner city. I'm going to use the rain to my advantage to get me through some of the areas that are not safe for me to be walking around in by myself. This is Highland Park. Highland Park had, I'd say, more of the bigger houses that I remember, and also more of the completely burnt out, gutted homes. But I really liked Highland Park, just because if I used my imagination, I could see what it once was. Highland Park was once a highly desirable Detroit neighborhood. While local leaders are cheering the revitalization of downtown and investors are capitalizing on urban pioneers, the neighborhoods typically get left behind. I mean, and look at this house. This is a beautiful home that should not be vacant, and it's next to a completely gutted one. Clearly this road has not been maintained. I cannot get a flat tire out here. I will be... This is unbelievable. Like, these roads... Oh my god. They're like caverns in the street. Most people are gonna see houses in neighborhoods like this and be like, oh my god, I would never go there. And I think this is why I like Detroit so much, is because, you know, you can look at that and say that it's horrifying. I look at that and I see potential. You can do something with that. You can do something with all this. That's what I love about Detroit. Detroit is like the ultimate comeback kid. And that's largely in thanks to the people who refuse to accept outsider labels of their city and are making the best with what they've got to make their community a better place. People like Bo Shepherd, who is one badass bitch. I suck at Instagram, but of the few people who I religiously follow, Bo is one of them, and I'm like a little bit lady crush starstruck that on this visit I might actually get to meet her in person because of her shoes. Those shoes are a sign of a woman who is doing real dirty work after raising her spirit finger to corporate America.
I was an interior designer for GM for 5 years, and then I started this as a hobby, actually.
This is Woodward Throwbacks. Bo and her husband started salvaging Detroit homes that were on the tear-down chopping block. Using their own van, they save what's precious and bring it here to their warehouse to give it a second life as redesigned furniture or materials for renovators.
This came out of a school in Hamtramck.
Salvage is heavy-duty work, and it's usually done by dudes.
I'm used to that. Like, being in the automotive industry, it was a man's world. So it's just like I literally left one male-dominant field to another, and like it's funny. Most guys, like when we go to like job sites, the former ones be like, "Damn, like you work harder than like my employees," and I'm like, "Yeah, I do." Because one, I'm the owner, and then two, it's just like, what, you think I'm a woman? I'm gonna be like weak? It's weird. It's like a weird type of thing. But I usually outwork literally every single guy on the field.
A woman with a table saw. What's not to be in awe of? As if the dirty work in pursuit of restoration isn't impressive enough, it's actually her company bike rides I admire most. No matter how rough the neighborhood, Woodward Throwbacks takes group bike rides on a regular basis in an effort to bring a sense of American nostalgia back to blighted areas. I about squealed with joy at just seeing a fraction of her inventory, but we have to get going to see another person who also makes people squeal with joy for a very, very different reason. Let's take a bit of a detour into the outskirts of Detroit, where my friend Tom, who is a former police officer. Okay, so Tom retired, and all I really know is that he went and started his own business, and it's like some kind of novelty shop. Now, I've heard rumors about this novelty shop, but they may be messing with me, so we're just gonna go see for ourselves, have a little reunion, and then go find some buildings to run around. So let's go find Tom. No, they weren't kidding. Tom really does own a novelty shop. It's a sex store. The Pleasure Zone. What an idiot. This son of a bitch even has the car. There he is! Let's go get him! Sorry kids, I talked to YouTube directly and I will totally get in trouble for the footage and commentary that went down inside the store. So that unchristian content has to stay in the hallowed, unrestricted halls of my Patreon account so that I don't lose my channel. Rules are rules, and I'm not trying to end up in YouTube jail. We're already starting a sentence inside a notorious slammer down the road that you will absolutely recognize from a movie made unforgettable by a very famous tunnel dug right through it.